All right, trying this again. You guys hear me out there? I know there's a delay. One day I'll actually get this working correctly. Looks good. You can hear me, Wesley? Sweet. Again, you guys should see me doing this. Hey, yeah, you're just here so you don't get fined. Third time's a charm. I know you guys would laugh your asses off if you actually saw me trying to figure out, you got all these professional Twitchers and YouTubers and stuff like that that have all these cool designs and stuff. I've literally spent 4 or 5 hours yesterday and today trying to figure all that stuff out. And funny enough, it doesn't come easy. So again, I'm still a boomer. So, oh, you're kidding me. There's a Levito family member in here. Ah, thanks for joining. That's wow. That's pretty cool. If you guys aren't familiar with who the Levito family is, go check them out because it's an amazing story, actually. Um, so appreciate you joining us. So, like I said, uh, Aaron put on there, or maybe Trent put on there, that we were going to do a live Q&A, and back by popular demand, we figured we'd do it. And as I try and figure out YouTube, that's why I keep going to YouTube. I know Instagram is really easy to do live events on, but again, trying to figure the whole YouTube thing out so that we can continue to get better. So let me go back to some of the questions that were asked, and I'll go back and forth between the questions that were asked in the story and then questions you guys put up here in the chat. So you could hear me angrily clicking. Yeah, I was getting frustrated, but that's cool. So again, let's start with some of the questions that you guys asked on the story. So starting with ASL golf, what's our favorite type of training missions? So for me, and I'm sure every single operator is different, but for me, I really enjoy going out and doing full mission profiles that are focused in kind of a all three of our mission sets: the personnel recovery, the precision strike, and the global access. So think if we did a free fall, whether it's a halo or a hey ho into a dry lake bed. So there's your global access part of it. And then from there, we land, MC-130s, we land CV-22s, we land 60s or whatever the aircraft may be. And then from there, we are, you know, um, our PR team, our personnel recovery team with Precision Strike is heading out to go conduct some kind of not search and reconnaissance, some kind of personnel recovery. And there's a huge medical scene there. So the PJs get some medical training. Um, the controllers, there's a precision strike aspect of it too, to where there's an enemy coming in, so there's a CAS, close air support part of it too. So really, when you're able to, for me, when I'm able to do a scenario that incorporates all three of the special tactics mission sets in, those are my favorite. Let's see. Okay, nothing on the chat yet. Other question. Did paramedic school get moved to San Antonio for PJs? It did. And I actually had to ask Aaron about this. So Aaron quickly corrected me. The new term for it is MP3, which stands for, bear with me, Military Pararescue Paramedic Program. So it's called MP3. So that's where the medical part is, and it's at Lackland for the PJs now. Any reason why PJs don't go through all or part of SOCM, SOCM, Special Operations Combat Medic? They used to, and even now, I think sometimes they will still send some if there's no room at MP3. But really, I mean, MP3 is built for our PJs, so they will go to it. Like I said, we used to go to it, and it was good because it was joint. We were there with our NSW and our USASOC brethren, but we just kind of gone our own way now. Can PJs go to sauce T? And if yes, what does that process look like? So there's not really a PJ position on a special operations surgical team. It's more of they would have to kind of get more medical training and then go that route on whether it's a anesthesiologist, a surgeon, or something like that. It's not like that they actually have a position on the sauce T team. Can I discuss what goes on the dive medicine? There's so many medical questions. Really, this would be certainly be better for Aaron. But in terms of dive medicine, so you some normal medicine translates from field care to dive stuff. Some the other stuff is being able to provide care and treatment and triage while you're in a chamber, like a dive chamber, where you're actually diving down to 160 feet or whatever that tables like there's certain tables when you're diving that you have to follow per the US Navy dive manual. And if there's an accident or maybe there's a decompression issue, then you're going to have to come to the surface, receive treatment, hit a dive chamber, and then that dive chamber is going to then follow the treatment tables that are laid out in the US Navy dive manual, and which will bring you down to a certain depth. Generally, it's like 60 feet, but it kind of depends on what dive profile you had already or that you were doing, and then they will provide that kind of treatment. That is what the kind of dive medical stuff will teach you and train you to. When are we going to get Flannel Daddy on? So we were really close. We actually had him scheduled, and then his kid or his wife got sick. And then we just, with his schedule and our schedule, we just haven't been able to link back up again. But we do plan on having him on again. Anything in the chat? What does an average work day? What does an average work day look like? I know Aaron and Trent said that we weren't going to address that anymore, but I feel bad if I don't because maybe you missed that episode. But or maybe you're joking around with me. But an average work day is it's different for whether you're PJCT or SR or Tacp. It also depends on what unit you're at, what phase you are in. Like we have different phases each unit does in preparation for some of our individual training needs, our unit training needs, and then what we need for deployment. So a lot of that depends on it. But it could range from some kind of working out first thing in the morning to we're going to do jumps that day. We're going to shoot. We're going to do some demolition. We're going to go out and do close air support. We're going to do some kind of medical scenarios. I know last week guys were snowmobiling and doing cross country skiing. So like it could be anything. I got one for you. Any advice for a maintenance AIT that is on the fence about cross training? I mean, I guess do it. You could follow the whole regret is hell thing that we talk about. Man, you'll always wonder or not whether or not you're always wonder what would have happened if you had done it. If you don't do it, yeah, okay, that's great. You may be fine with that, but in reality, you'll always wonder what if. So you may as well give it a shot. Something to consider though, since you're already active duty. So we'll take your E1 through E5s. We'll take E6s too, but it's a gamble with the whole E6 thing because you're already pretty senior at that point. And it does depend on how long you've had E6 on and that kind of stuff. And it's to benefit you and it's to benefit the team, that whole E6 thing, because if you're an E6, you go through the pipeline. If you're already wearing E6, you go through the pipeline, you're talking about a year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years later. By that time, you're testing for master. Then you're going to be a team sergeant. And then you're going to be leading Pjcc, SR TACPs that have been doing the job for a long time, and you got to play catch up. That is the reason why we don't take that many E6s. So do it sooner rather than later. When it comes to personal assertiveness, is there any kind of fortitude training how to own the room, how to not get put off. John, is as simple as it sounds. So when we talk about fortitude, say you're out on a you like you intend to go out on a 6 mile run, right? And you're putting out for that entire time, and you get to mile three, and you're like, dude, I just can't go any farther. Um, and then you stop. That sounds like a little loss, but you didn't finish what you intended to do. Even if you had even if you had slowed down, say you couldn't finish it at that 7 minute pace or whatever that pace is, don't stop. Just slow it down a little bit so that you still get that victory. So you're not necessarily giving up on yourself. It sounds silly, but those little victories and those little wins and those little pushing through times that are tough on you will help you out, and they will help build that intestinal fortitude. I hope that makes sense. Is it going to be harder for me to cross train as a staff sergeant than those as an airman? No, if you're a staff sergeant, Bryce, you're good to go. The only kind of issue is tech sergeants or E6s. But again, it's still doable. It's just like there's some other variables that play into the fact. Just tuning to say that I love. Okay, appreciate it, Darius. Thanks for the shout out. Wait a minute. Sorry. Uh, I recently attended an extended training day and was told that Crows focus more on the rescue side of PJ mission. The Stows oversee both CCT missions and the PJs, less rescue oriented. Um, so, Christopher, yeah, in a way, yes, because Air Combat Command or ACC is the MAGCOM or the Major Command of Entitlement, meaning that they have the majority of Crows and PJs over AFSOC or Air Force Special Operations Command. That is why they predominantly focus on rescue. Now, we have Crows, we have PJs in Air Force Special Operations Command that focus on personnel recovery. They do global access and they will do some aspects of precision strike. But I mean, like we have Crows that are leading PJs, controllers, CCT or controllers, PJ, CCT, SR, and Tacps. So our Stows and our Crows work side by side, and they're phenomenal people. Uh, are there operators with contact lenses? I'm working on getting a vision medical waiver for International Guard PJ. What can I expect at ANS for only being able to wear contact lenses? Yeah, there are folks that wear contact lenses, but you remember there are still vision requirements even wearing. So you still got to be correctable to 2020. But even then, your vision can't be too bad. So you just got to go get the medical. They'll tell you. You guys know that we can't answer medical questions, so it's not that we're trying to leave you hanging. We just we're not the medical professionals, and we're also not the people that say whether or not you can join or not. So you gotta rely on them. What are some of the things you did to calm yourself or help you focus during your first firefight? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I really don't. I just you revert back to training, right? That's why we train so often, so that and I'm sure I've probably written about it, or you've heard some of us say it, or you've heard other people say it, because we for sure didn't come up with it. But in bad times or in your darkest places, you will always revert to your highest level of training or your lowest level of training, whatever it is. Like that is why we train all the time, and we never stop training, because you never know when you're going to get put into that situation that you have to fall back on your training, and you almost at a point you don't get a chance to think. You just know that you have to do this. Yes, PJs get to be stationed overseas. Ari, planning on going soft, whether that's PJ or whatever. Anyways, with PJs, can I go to Ranger School? Yes, you can go to Ranger School and Combat Dive School. Yeah, so Panama City, we Air Force has got its own dive school, but we will also send people to Key West to CDQC Combat Diver Qualification qualification course, which is run by the Army. That's actually the one that I went to. Key West, good time. Can't believe I'd cover up that sweet wood sign behind me. I know. Old Stephen Petrus made that, my brother and my dad. And then that one's Mad Cats, and that one's my dad and my brother. If we cross train and move the family to San Antonio, is there any time while at the 350th we can join them, or is it waiting until dive in Florida? I don't know about the dive in Florida part, but so I guess there's a couple aspects of this. This is changing, and by changing I mean it is literally like some people are doing it the old way right now, and some people are doing it a new way. And I double checked on this, so forgive me for not knowing it 100% off the top of my head. But um, so obviously for holidays and extended weekends and stuff like that, if you have the leave built up or if you're on a pass, you can go visit your family. They can always come out to see you. And then Trent says they get breaks depending on the school and AETC or Air Education and Training Command down days. And then moves are going to Lackland. So, like I said, that is a change from what it used to be, and it's still in the process right now. Like I talked to Chief Gutierrez about it just 2 or 3 weeks ago, and this is a recent change that's in the process. So I could tell you one way, and it could change in 2 weeks, but right now it's everybody's going to Lackland. I hear regular ATC guys are going to start playing a bigger role downrange, so CTSR guys can take care of the other. Truth to this, it's not playing a larger role. Like we've already been integrating air traffic controllers into some of the mission sets we do because we are not designed or outfitted, manned or equipped to do long-term air traffic control on an airfield, especially if it's a not that busy of an airfield. So we will bring in as soon as possible. We will bring in air traffic controllers to uh, help us or take over. Um, and I don't know if our Aussie friends are on here, but like we've had Australian ATC guys take over for us, and that was after like a month of doing LZ work, which is a really long time for us. Mm. What happened to the incorporation of more tactical combative training being out in early pipeline? Are you talking about like combative skills? I think that's what you mean. I don't know where that's at because the pipeline is always evolving and always changing. So I I can't speak for the Special Warfare Training Wing or the training group or even AETC, but I would imagine if I had to guess, I would say that um, the combatives are not as much of a priority in the pipeline as they would be at a operational unit. That's what I would guess. Oh boy, boy, boy. When you eventually get out of the military, do you think that you will still do ones ready or let someone who is in the career field? That's a really good question. And Aaron, Trent, and I have actually talked about that because once you retire, you definitely lose your relevancy. Would I want to give up on ones ready? Absolutely not. So I'd like to think that I would, if I did step away from being on the camera, at least I would still be involved in some regards. I don't know. Maybe I can still provide something after I retire to the whole ones ready crew, but maybe not. Maybe I'll be too old and decrepit and be out of my mind. Have you heard anything about the paramedic training for PJs moving to Cannon from Cannon to San Antonio? It was never at Cannon. I think you were talking about Kirtland, and yes, it is moving to San Antonio. You're welcome. Am I? My brother's asking me if I'm any good at air traffic control. The answer is no, not compared to him. Looking at the near peer competition with a couple of countries, it seems global access to be the primary component for three primaries. What do you believe precision strike for Tacp? Where do I? I think precision strike will always play a factor. Um, just like everything kind of ebbs and flows, even if Afghanistan, Iraq, great power competition, all that kind of stuff. I think it ebbs and flows. I believe it'll always have an aspect of it, but again, I can't speak to that, and I leave that up to the um, big brains of the Air Force and Special Operations Command, because I am not that guy. Do you know if there is a possibility to be reserve or guard as an SR? Yes, you can go be guard at one of the special tactics units. They do have they have a few slots, minimal, but they do have a few slots. It's just whether or not they're filled up or not. Typees fall in with that mission set in the years to come. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Can you rephrase that? Um, could I explain global access reconnaissance? Um, I don't I don't know. I mean, we've kind of talked about that in the global access episode that we did last week or the week before. Um, and we are going to sit down with Trent, since Trent was on vacation when we recorded that. But we are going to sit down with Trent and actually talk and deep dive into the SR, or the special reconnaissance aspects of each of those mission sets. So you guys will get a little bit more of that. I recently started my rucking progression just using the hunting background or backpack I have now. My question is, should I get an Alice pack or an evenly stocked pack when prepping for NS? Whether you go buy a backpack or not, I mean, you guys hear us talk about evenly stock, and if you are going to use that, make sure you use the promo code OR10. But man, if you're at a point where money's an issue, or you're trying to tighten your straps a little bit, your money straps, like you can always like I said, you can always go to eberlystock.com. You can check out an Army Navy surplus store and look for an Alice pack. If you can't find an Alice pack, that's okay. You don't need it. It's just one of those nicety things to have, because you can really load down an Alice pack. Um, but if you have a backpack, you can just throw in 45 pounds of that. It's going to be more uncomfortable than it would be normally, but it's about getting that load bearing on your body and getting your shoulders, your back, and your neck used to that, just that load being on you. That's all it's about. And you don't have to do a whole bunch of it. Like I said, if you're putting it in a backpack, it's going to be very uncomfortable. That's why we try and put them in actual, like, military rucksacks. Been crushing the past test lately, and I was wondering how proficient you'd prepare a student for long distance rucks and swims. Um, I was wondering how proficient you'd prepare a student for long distance rucks. I would only, depending on when you go, right? Because you're backing it up. Um, if I was going in probably 3 months, I would ruck twice a month, uh, and then that last month probably once a week. If I'm not going in for another 8 months, then I'm probably rucking once a month. Um, and I'm not really going over 45 pounds. I'm definitely not going over 60 pounds. And then I'm probably only going to go for about 6 miles, 3 to 6 miles, really. I'm not going to crush myself. I think at that point, you're already getting your body used to that load. And then, all the running, swimming, calisthenics, and any kind of, treading water, and any kind of um, underwater work would be important. And then long distance swims, I mean, yeah, I would be in the pool swimming, especially if you're not comfortable, or if you're an inefficient swimmer. I would be getting in a pool a whole lot, because you're going to be in there a lot. Favorite coffee? Um, so trench coffee, the Brazil, uh, Cerrado or whatever. That's my jam right now. It is good. I've got a subscription, and it's badass. 17 years old, going straight out of high school and becoming a PJ. I know you said in the past podcast you were in a similar situation. Yeah, I was 17 when I came in. and I was super homesick, and I was getting my ass handed to me every single day. And I called home, I think, every single night. Like, I was severely homesick. I had never really spent much time away from home. So I was severely homesick at 17 years old, um, just getting worked, and then seeing dudes that I was comparing myself to, who were jacked, older than me, who I was like, oh, these guys are definitely going to make it, and then to have them quit right next to me, and I'm still standing, like, that wore on me a lot. So as a 17-year-old or a young dude going in, do not compare yourself to everybody else, because you will see people that you're like, oh man, this person has they're squared away. They have all their stuff together. They're jacked. They got better numbers than me, and then all of a sudden you're going to see them quit. Um, just don't let that affect you, and don't compare yourself to them. That would be my best advice. Let's see. Can we get a video of that unit? No, you will not get a video of that unit from us anyway. At least not now. They have their own podcast, um, and it's Insight Through Experience. You should check them out. They're really good. Trey, who's been a guest on the podcast before, um, he's the host and does a phenomenal job of that. I mean, I listen to him, and it's great. Besides, he's got that voice too that just puts you to sleep. When you eventually get out of the military, oh, okay, we've already read that one. Any options on which physical fitness program is best for getting prepared for the CC pipeline? And you got a whole bunch of people out there. Like, one, you don't have to buy one if you don't want to. It just, um, you can Google, and there's programs out there for free. They're just not going to be tailored to you. Whereas if you go with somebody like 18 Alpha Fitness or Brian's Be a PJ, like, at least it'll be tailored towards you, um, and they'll adjust, however you need. But um, but again, you don't have to pay for a program. There is stuff out there. Um, do you know if they allow earplugs for water training? No, they don't. Oh, don't forget the instant questions. Oh, thanks for that. Appreciate it. Okay. Will newer enlisted ST members go through ANS again if wanting to commission? So this is this is also in the works right now in terms of changing. Um, so if you're already, call it a CCT, and then you want to go be an officer, you go through phase two, or you go through like an officer selection, and then if you're selected, then you go to OTS, or officer training school, and then become an officer, and then you're a special tactics officer at that time. Um, from the sound of it, again, it sounds like this is changing, and it'll be a little bit different. So whether or not the officers are going to go to ANS, I can't speak to that right now. Um, so I'm not trying to avoid your question. It's just that if I tell it to you right now, in 2 weeks, it could change, or it could even have changed right now, and that information just has not trickled down to us. SEER isn't tested on swimming. Should I still train in the pool? Yes. Why would you not train in the pool? I'm not saying that you've got to be combat diver or pre-scuba or anything like that, but as a survival person, you should probably be able to survive in the pool, um, to not only save yourself but save someone else. And here's the thing: that's just a good life skill to know. Imagine if Imagine if there was somebody out drowning and you couldn't actually go in to save them, and you're the only person that could because you were the only person there. I mean, think, like, that's I don't know. I grew up swimming, so maybe I'm privileged or whatever, but like, you should learn how to swim. You really should. And maybe you do. Maybe you're just trying to figure out, if, like, hey, do I need to be doing 1,500-meter swims? Yeah, probably not for SEER, but it's a great workout. It's a great way to train, and it's a good life skill to have. Um, what's up, Nate Gladden? Saw your PR episode. Wanting to know more about the controller's job on a PR team. It's communications and doing that precision strike, that calling in that close air support. That is what we do, or medevac 9 lines, or working aircraft. That's what we do. If I could have lunch with three people, living or dead, who would they be? I don't know. I'll come back to that one. Remind me. Do you guys want to know more on TACPOs? So we did one episode, I know, and it was a while back on TACPOs. We probably need to get some more on there, so I'll work on doing that, and also work on getting you more TACP FTU information. I do have one TACP lined up right now, and he's got experience in the conventional TACP and the soft TACP. He's just waiting to get clearance through his command on whether he can come on or not. And then the TACP community is changing right now, so I'm waiting to get the right person to come on and talk about the future of TACP as well. So we are going to have those on. I'm just waiting right now, or it's not waiting, it's scheduling and getting approval because some of these folks have got to get approval before they can come on. Um, I know you guys roll out the maps for some jujitsu, but yoga and meditation, comment at all? Yeah, it is. Every Wednesday we do yoga, or at least our POTF team, our Preservation of the Forest and Family, do yoga sessions or regeneration sessions every Wednesday. And I think they were going to start them up another day of the week. But yeah, we do them. Me and my wife used to go do yoga all the time when we were living in Tampa. We haven't done it since we've been here, but yeah, absolutely roll out the yoga mats and meditate. Um, how long is the TACP pipeline from BMT? That really depends on you. And well, depends on you, and it depends on um, the courses, like in terms of dates. So, could be as quick as 6 months, could be a year. If you get injured, that could also, set you back. If I get a contract for SR, but I get through BMT and all that, and like PJ Moore, is there an opportunity? Yeah, so it goes on to that SWOE, that special warfare open enlistment contract thing, where you go in, the top performers get their choice, and then if you're not a top performer, like they still want to give you what you want. And I want to say they gave out some kind of percentage statistic that was, and 99% of statistics are made up on the spot, so just take that for what it's worth. But the majority of folks have gotten exactly what they wanted. um, so don't worry about that. If you want to go be a PJ, go be a PJ. All right, I'm going to transition from uh, the questions on here to the questions in the chat. I just got to find out where I left off at. Any options on which physical? We've already talked about that one. Do you know if they ladder plugs? No, they don't. Just got here. Sorry if this has already been asked. If we join PJCT, are we still going to be deployed to war zones? Yes. Yes. I have a buddy that was a non-select, and I've never had a bad interaction with him. Any advice I can pass along? Pass along to him? If you mean pass along to him, tell him to not dwell on it. Um, unless he was told something that he can't, reassess or come back. Um, tell him to keep training. Tell him to learn from any feedback that he was provided. Tell him to just keep being a good dude and then reassess. If he was told not to come back, then that means that the psych docs or the cadre found or noticed a characteristic that would not be very conducive to being in special tactics or even the special operations command. Doesn't mean that he's a bad dude at all. It just means that they, found something that they didn't want. It's not. It's definitely. I would say it's not personal. It's not. It's business. But yeah, whatever. I can't. Like, guys, I'm not really comfortable answering the country specific questions, so I'm gonna avoid those. What's my experience with Cadre? What's their role in our unit? So Nolan, our Cadams boys and girls are phenomenal. Um, In fact, we actually have one in our unit right now that is will be going through the pipeline to be an SR dude. So they're really good, really professional, very knowledgeable on the weapon systems that we have. Um, it's a learning curve once they arrive here because some of the weapon systems that we carry, uh, their security forces brethren don't carry, but they're always very professional, and we generally try and interview and hire them based on that interview process and their military history. Uh, Are Ravens? Oh, I lost it. There was a question on there, and I don't see it anymore. Are Ravens dagger reserved for enlisted? Yes. Going into ANS, would you advise being strong or just have an insane endurance? Is both a wrong answer? Because you can have both. Um, I wouldn't say that you would want to lean to be super strong and then you cramp up or you die freaking um, early on run on 10-mile run or something like that. So you got to find that balance. But I mean, there are plenty of guys that are either in the pipeline or that are on teams that are insanely strong and have insane endurance. So you can definitely have both. I was told that I need a morale waiver. What are the chances of being an SRCT or an most higher security clearance? So all of those need a security clearance. I, I can't really answer that because I don't know what you would need the morality waiver for. So there are degrees to this game or levels to this game, right? Um, you know, so I don't know what your issues were, so I can't really answer that. Would you recommend a weighted vest when hitting a plateau? Yeah, absolutely. Use Change it up, right? Like keep your body guessing, keep your body growing. Wear a weight vest. Don't wear a weight vest. You want to get faster? Yeah, run long distance, do sprints, do intervals, do hill training. Go out for a run wearing a weighted vest. You got to change it up. Make sure you're recovering though too. Like you can't always go ham every single workout. You also have to train smarter and recover. Uh, for STO phase one selection, does your actual area of study get considered at all? No, as long as you have a degree. It doesn't matter whether you have a Mickey Mouse degree or not. As long as you got a degree, you're good. I'm going to take a break off of that and then hit this one real quick. Hit the IG ones. I may have actually tips for transferring from Army to Aspect War. So you need to reach out to Master Sergeant Gann, Gann, and if you need his details, just shoot us a DM and we'll send it to you. He is the special operations recruiter for cross trainees and prior service. So if you do a service transfer, he is the one to help you walk you through that process. I have a lot of muscle on my frame. How can I succeed in WaterCon? I mean, you're just going to have to work a little bit harder. I wouldn't say get heavier because that'll only hurt you in other arenas or other avenues of the training. But um, like you can still do it. Just make sure your cardiovascular is there and that your efficiency and technique is there. We actually recorded earlier this morning with a swim coach. He was a collegiate swimmer who is now in the pipeline. Well, actually, he's not technically in the pipeline. He's kind of in a weird status, but phenomenal swimmer, and he actually goes through some of the technique and some of those efficiencies in the podcast, and that'll probably drop in a couple weeks. Uh, when are we doing a best hair contest? I lose every single time. Do crows do RQS or do they specific special tactics? They do both. Crows go to RQS and special tactics. Can I go into the special warfare guard unit from the guard, or do you have to be active duty? Yeah, you can go off the street, or you can be active duty. That's fine. Either one work. They're just not always hiring, right? So you got to get with that specific guard unit, talk to them, interview with them, because oftentimes they will have their own kind of selection. Because in the guard, it's a little different than active duty. Guard, they've got you for a long time. So they want to make sure that with if they're going to hire you, that you're someone good, someone who gets along with everybody, and that you're for sure going to pass the pipeline. All right, going back to the chat because that was all of the Instagram ones. And I'll probably wrap this up here in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Would you recommend? Already went to that. Already did that one. Do one's ready hoodies improve your chances of making it through selection? I don't know. Me, I probably wouldn't wear one's ready hoodie going through selection. You might get a lot of hate from the cadre just because, not because they don't like us, but just because that's what we do. What advice do you have for an older guy, 37, being ready to enter and go through the pipeline? Um, Recovery, eat, sleep, and make sure you're working on mobility and stuff like that. Like you'll be fine. I mean, older guys than you have gone through, but that's what you need to do. You just got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Like you're going to see dudes going through the pipeline, whether it's pre-scuba, scuba school, or even prep, that are able to do everything that you're going to do, and then go out and party and go hang out and stuff like that. You may or may not be able to still go do that. I know that I would not. So that's just an aspect for you. Uh, yep, somebody downloaded a free old training program from Pjcc. Are you guys considering making a podcast video with soft knees and like security force dagger video? They're part of Pjcc. Have they ever assisted? Yeah, yeah. I mean, we've all worked together, and that's the great thing about Pjcc is there's a lot of cross flow and cross pollination. So yeah, we can look at getting them on for sure. Hey, Peaches, does having extra certifications ever come in handy operationally, or they just make your portfolio look fancy? I mean, they could. It depends on what qualifications you have. Like if you, um, I don't know, if downrange, if there was a scenario that we needed underwater basket weaving or something like that, and you happen to go to have a certification in underwater basket weaving, like that would help out. I mean, that kind of goes back to getting people from all kinds of different backgrounds to come in to special operations, assuming that meet all the criteria and the standards and all that kind of stuff. And then, um, yeah, I mean, we'll use it. We got all kinds of people, so with all kinds of certifications. What level of swimming we need to be for ANS? I mean, not insane. You don't need to be pre-dive ready, which because after that we'll send you to pre-dive. So you do need to be very familiar with swimming and underwater stuff. Do you need to be at the level that you're a combat diver? No. I'm still confused on how the AFSOC recruitment works for the Army. You can go do a normal recruiting station and receive an 18 X-ray or 11 Bravo option 30 contract. Is the process similar aspect war? So I'm not 100% on the 18 Delta or the 18 X-ray and 11 Bravo process, but I mean, here's how it works. You go to airforce.com, click connect, click find a recruiter, type in your zip code, type in your education level, and select that you're interested in special operations. You hit enter. It'll populate a regionally based special operations recruiter that you can contact. You can also contact a normal recruiter as well, and they'll get you all processed, get you information, send you the MEPS and everything. And then after MEPS, that assuming that you are good to go from your first MEPS visit, will then transfer you over to a special operations recruiter. That way you can enter development and get that extra training and that extra insight into, and be surrounded by people that have a common goal to you. So again, I don't know exactly how the 18 X-rays and 11 Bravos are doing it, but that's the way that we do it. What's the hardest Air Force Special Forces unit to get in? I'm not gonna answer that one. I think most probably are already tracking it, but like I said, I wasn't gonna talk about that unit. Top tips for a new officer to make a positive impact around. Ooh, top tips for a new officer to make a positive impact on the airmen around them. You're a new officer, so that could mean that you don't have a lot of bad habits. It could also mean that they've told you that enlisted are uneducated or um, kind of just in the service just to get by. So, what I would recommend from you is find yourself a solid NCO or senior NCO and attach yourself to them. Not, and I don't mean one that's salty. It can be a little salty, but not too salty. And then learn from them because they have been in the game for a long time. It doesn't mean that every single opinion or every single way that they are doing things is right or accurate or the way it should be done, but um, find that person, and you should be able to identify who that good NCO or senior NCO is, and then um, and it doesn't have to be one; it could be a couple, and then just take something positive from each one of them, um, and learn. But at the same time, you're going to see bad leaders or toxic leaders, and you learn just as much, if not more, from them than you do the good ones, because then you learn what not to do. Like, I will never treat somebody the way that that person just treated me, or something like that. So you learn a lot from those kind of people. Oh, sorry, every time a chat comes up, it moves it, so I gotta find it. So I'm sorry. I'm gonna go down to the very bottom. I'm sorry if I'm missing it, but I'm gonna spend 4 more minutes. I'm gonna come off at 55. How often are 18-year-olds selected at ANS? All the time. Training to be a PJ post high school. Well, yeah, they all the time. Like, our demographic is 17 to, well, I mean, 39 is the cutoff, but what, like, in that range, we select all kinds of people. And our force compared to like the 18 Delta or 18 Deltas, the 18 series, the Green Beret and stuff like that, we have a younger force on the Air Force side of the house. So our folks are generally pretty young. Have you ever seen any aspect operators get into? Yes, Logan Larson. The answer is yes. How do Cadre determine what career field students go into? So they look. I mean, one's like I kind of believe it or not, PJs, SR, Tacps, and CCT have a very typical type. Like, for PJs, they're hippies, usually big in the hacky sack, slacklining, rock climbing, stuff like that. They're generally kind of hippies. Controllers, right, wrong, or indifferent, are generally tattooed, um, tattooed, Harley riding, um, just really, really rough around the edges. That's kind of the uh, stereotypical controller and PJ. So that's kind of what we look into. And then obviously we have the psych doc characteristics that will help drive where we think somebody needs to be. Um, Hippies. Yeah, yeah. FR, are you a PJ? Because I'm right. I can't tell you how many times I've been drawn into a hacky sack circle, and it's fun. I got it, but sometimes you just got to hack in. Do SR have a stereotype yet? No, not yet. Nerds. There's nerds, especially Trent. FR can. Yeah, you're a J. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Uh, Considering spec war after this graduation this spring, is it common to see dudes with degrees all the time? We get enlisted. Just because you have a degree doesn't mean that you have to go officer. We have dudes that have master's degrees that come in enlisted. Now, here's the cool thing about it, and I'm gonna actually wrap it up on this. And I apologize if I've missed anybody's questions. But so, say you have a degree right now, and you're torn. You don't know whether to be an officer or enlisted. You could come in enlisted with a degree or without one, do 6, 8, 10 years as an enlisted member, become your tactical expert, your technical expert, whether it's PJ, CCT, SR, doesn't matter. Like, you become that expert And then you go, hey, I want to um, use my degree, or I have gotten a degree during my enlisted time. I want a better paycheck. I want a better retirement. I want um, more leadership roles, or maybe your body's a little bit broken or something like that, and you're ready to slow it down a little bit. Then you could always go and transfer to be a stow or a crow or a Tacp or something like that. Like that is an option for you. A lot of people don't know that, but it's common knowledge. We get enlisted that go to officers all the time. And in fact, if you go through our catalog and you look for one of the special tactics officers we had, Winkleer, um, we had him on. He's a prior E. He's now an O. He spent 10 or 12 years as an enlisted, got up to tech sergeant, was going to go for mass sergeant, decided to go officer before he even tested for mass sergeant. So, and now he's an officer. So, well, again, appreciate everybody tuning in. Thanks for your time. Thanks for all your support. Um, Thanks for buying the merch. If you haven't gone, check us out. It's at onesready.com. Check us out on Instagram at onesready. Each one of us have our own personal ones. I know I haven't been on there in several months. I've honestly been enjoying the break. It's kind of nice. So if you do want to send us an email though, then you can go to info@onesready.com, send us an email, and then I will try, me, Aaron, or Trent, or whatever, will try and do these more often just because they seem to be very popular. So thanks everybody. Have a great one. And remember to have your positive mental attitude with you.